Hello, this is Gabin from Design Tribe and welcome to another graphics design tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I achieved this simple design in Photoshop. Let's get straight to it. The first thing I did was to create a new project 20 by 20 centimeters with a resolution of 300, and after that I created a gradient background. So I'll just go to gradient and I choose any of these. I think this one is good, so when I select that, I'll change the style to radial and I reverse the color to this and I increase the scale like this level and I take OK. The next thing I did was to bring in the background of the world map, so I'm just going to drag the world map into my project like this, and once that is added, I'm just going to add a mask to it and refine some of the areas. So increase the size of my brush and paint out this area. Okay, so when that is done, I'll just change my blend mode to soft light and bring it down slightly like that. Okay, now the next thing I did was to create this area, these lines here. So how did I do that? I went to shapes and I took one of the shapes there. So under shapes, I selected this and I brought into my project and I made sure that the fill color was white. So change the fill color to white and I scaled it up like this and I rotated it like that and I placed it up here, created a copy, Ctrl J, and I placed the other copy down here like this and changed the blend modes to soft light and soft light like this. So when the blend modes were changed, the next thing I did was to create this. So I just used my text tool to type in the first text, excellence, and I used a thin font, so I've changed this to Acumin variable font and I used the thin version of the font. Character style, put all in caps and make sure it's not italicized, and I increase the size to something like that. So that's what I used, excellence. The next thing I use, so for this text I use Bebas, and the next was global. Ctrl J to duplicate and I typed in conquest. Okay, so that's the theme of the program, excellence for global conquest. So I just had to rearrange everything and scale them up, scale this up to this, and I'll change this. It's a little too thick, so I'll use the thin version like this and reduce the spacing in between the fonts, and I grouped everything, took them up to this point like this, and the four text was big like that. So now all that was left was for me to add this yellow stripes behind. So to do that, I created these stripes using my rectangle tool, change the color to that, and I create Ctrl T slant it like this, and I placed behind this. Just increase the size a little like that. Enter, Ctrl J. Navigate to my layers. Ctrl T, and I move this up to the next line like this. Ctrl J, then I move this up like that. So all these layers, all the yellow layers were behind my text, so I'll move them behind the text like that. Excellence for global conquest. So I click on excellence and I reduce the size a little like this. Modify that for global and also that for conquest. Then I increased the size of this a little to something like this, and I gave it a white color and gave it a drop shadow. Increase the opacity a little. So that's what I did there. So I just need to modify this a little, and I duplicated this layer. Duplicated that layer and I moved it up like this, made it smaller, and that one carried freshman stroke academic seminar. So just type here and reduce the font size a little. I switch that to black, and this layer I switched the color to white. For that I want to take this, let me take this behind. Okay, and I'll add a levels adjustment layer here and darken this a little. Okay, now I grouped everything, the text layers. Ctrl T, and I reduce the size to this. Next thing I did was to create this shadow. So to create that shadow, I just group all of these to one group. Then I create a new layer beneath that. Use my brush tool. Increase the brush size, and I dab like that. Ctrl T, and reduce the size like this. And then I reduce my opacity like this. Then I want to add a mask to it and just soften the edges a little like this. Okay, then I will change this blue. This blue gradient seems to be too bright, so I'll just switch it to something different. Think yes, this is better, or this is better. And I want to darken it again, just like this. It's not too bright. Okay, then the next thing was to add the theme. So for that I just used my Eclipse shape tool, just created a circle like that, and I moved this into the group, change the color to red, fill color to red, moved it like that, and just type in theme. I placed it here like that. Just change my color to white like that, and I added a drop shadow to this eclipse. The rate to 5. So I'll move this to the side, and for that I used Atma as the font. The character style, it was lowercase. The mark, type in November 5th, change that 3 p.m. Make sure you uncheck this. 3 p.m. align to the left, and I choose the bold version of that, and I made it a dark blue color, and I gave it a white stroke. A white stroke like this. Then the next thing was the contacts and the venue. So I'm just going to group this, and I move to the top and do select this group, Ctrl T, and move them to the top like that. Then I add contact information. Then the venue. Okay, and break that down. Select everything, align them to the left, and placed it like that. So I made this a little bolder, reduce the font size of these parts, and aligned it like that. So the next thing I did was to bring in this social media handle. So to do that, I created a line like this, made this white, Ctrl T, and slanted it like this, and changed the blend mode to soft light like that, and I added a mask to it. Reduce the size like this, and I painted out this area like this. So in order not to make this long, I'm just going to locate where the social media handle is, and I'll just drag and drop here. Ctrl T, rotate like this. That's it. Then the next thing I did was to add the logo of the organization. I used the yellow color, and I created a box like that there, and just bring in the logo. I typed in the name of the ministry, and I selected all of that, changed my font to a simpler font like this, adjusted my line spacing so this. We just select everything, Ctrl T, and I reduce the font size to this. And now I want to make this a little bolder, so I'll change it to medium, increase the line spacing like that, and I'll bring this down to that level, and just create a line in between them like that. So at this point, all I have to do now is just to refine the colors a little. I'm not really happy with how this blue looks, so I may want to use curves adjustment layer to modify this blue background a little. So I'll increase my greens and maybe drop the blues a little like this. And for the reds, maybe drop the reds or increase the reds like that. And I'll add a selective color layer again, go to the blue channels, and I'll just do some tweaking like this. So I really have a color that makes sense to me. I think something about this is good. So now I'll need to change the colors of these fonts here to balance everything. So I'll change this to black. And we see our design is looking a little more balanced than it was. And one more thing I want to do now is to select this, all of these layers, Ctrl T. I'll reduce the size a little like that. That's just to balance up everything. Now locate the theme, which is that, and I'll bring it down like that. So that's how I achieved this. If you enjoyed this video, please do well to support me by liking, sharing, and subscribe to my channel.